Archaeologists regularly make new discoveries, and sometimes the discoverers of unusual finds turn out to be ordinary people. One way or another, each such news story once again proves how many secrets and mysteries still remain hidden from our eyes. In this video, I've put together a selection of the most amazing finds from all over our planet. Enjoy watching. In 2006, a man named Carl Sabatino from New Jersey experienced an unusual event he struggled to believe for a long time. That year, Carl's aunt, with whom he had a close friendship, fell seriously ill. The man decided not to abandon his relative in her time of need and helped her cope not only with the illness, but also with her loneliness. The elderly woman was touched by his care, and when her condition worsened, she made Carl promise that when she passed away, he would look under her sewing machine and take the valuable item hidden there. Carl assumed it might be some trinket that held sentimental value to his aunt, but when the time came, he kept his promise. Moving the sewing machine, Carl discovered that inside the wooden table was a painting. As it later turned out, the painting was by the world-famous artist Picasso. It had been purchased by Carl's uncle after the end of World War I for just $30. Carl was stunned by this gift, as he knew how valuable Picasso's paintings were today. To verify the value and authenticity of the masterpiece, he contacted the Cleveland Museum of Art. There, experts confirmed that the painting was indeed an original. Today, the artwork is estimated to be worth between $25 and $35 million. In the Mexican part of the Chihuahuan Desert lie the Nika Mountains. These mountains have long been known for their large ore reserves, and in 1910, miners discovered an astonishing natural creation inside one of the mountains, an underground cave filled with gypsum crystals. The cave is located about 120 meters deep inside the mountain. Inside are the largest natural selenite crystals in the world. Their length can reach up to 15 meters, and their diameter more than 1 meter. Interestingly, the cave's early 20th century discoverers didn't appreciate this unique feature. Because of this, the cave was forgotten until it was rediscovered by miners in 2000. This time, the workers informed scientists about the discovery, and they went deep into the mountain to study the conditions that allowed these giant crystals to form. During their research, experts found that the formation of such unique crystals required many specific conditions. The temperature in the cave remained constantly around plus 58 degrees Celsius, while the humidity is close to 100% and the air contains hydrogen sulfide. Due to these extreme conditions, scientists conducted their studies in special cooling suits and masks. The formation of these unique crystals took thousands of years thanks to a perfect combination of factors: constant high temperature, steady humidity, and the chemical composition of the water and air. The underground waters inside the cave are rich in minerals. When they come into contact with magma, this water turns into a special solution that, through evaporation, helps form these amazing crystals. After extensive research by scientists, the natural balance of the cave was disrupted, and the water inside began to disappear. As a result, the crystals started to shrink. Experts noticed this trend and decided they should stop interfering with nature's wonders. That's why all research in the cave was discontinued. Underwater, one can find the most unexpected things, and trains are no exception. This might sound strange, but such discoveries really do happen. In 2013, off the coast of New Jersey, in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean, two unique steam locomotives were discovered. These locomotives were built at New England factories in Boston between 1851 and 1854. During the investigation of the find, experts determined that the locomotives ended up in the Atlantic waters even before the start of the American Civil War. Most likely, they sank during transportation when a cargo ship was caught in a violent storm. This discovery is truly rare, but not the only example of submerged railway transport. In the U.S. state of Pennsylvania, in the flooded Dutch Springs limestone quarry, there is an entire train. It has now been converted into a kind of attraction for experienced divers visiting the site. And in 2009, several railcars were found at the bottom of Lake Baikal in Russia. This discovery was made during deep-sea research using Mir submersibles in an area near the Sunken-Baikal Railway. It's worth noting that the cars were found at a great depth, 700 meters. It is believed that they sank during the Civil War, and inside them may still be Admiral Kolchak's gold. However, even in that case, recovering the cars is considered impractical. All these finds demonstrate just how many interesting and valuable things may be hidden at great depths. Ancient Roman mosaics are especially valuable finds for archaeologists. This is because each one is unique and reveals the features of ancient Roman art. Unfortunately, most such mosaics have only partially survived to the present day. Only in rare cases are these masterpieces left undamaged by time. In 2020, to the north of the Italian city of Verona, an ancient Roman mosaic was discovered beneath an active vineyard. Archaeologists immediately arrived at the site. During the excavations, they found that the mosaic was in very good condition, which was a cause for celebration. According to expert estimates, the mosaic was created in the 3rd century AD. In the news about the find, archaeologists noted right away that it was the floor of an ancient Roman villa. Interestingly, there had previously been evidence that in ancient times, a wealthy Roman's residence had been located on the land of the current vineyard. Back in 1887, local residents accidentally found various artifacts in the soil, from pottery to jewelry. Among these finds were also ornamental mosaics with different images. However, since news of these discoveries reached scientists too late, most of the artifacts were destroyed. Still, even in such a condition, they were eventually handed over to the Verona authorities. The first official excavations on this vineyard site took place in 1922. At that time, archaeologists managed to uncover 3 rooms with mosaic floors. Another mosaic was found in the same area in 1975, but scientists decided to bury it back in the ground to preserve it. Finally, when in 2020 news broke about the discovery of the most recent mosaic, archaeologists were able to locate the ruins of the very villa they had been searching for over nearly 100 years. Soon, experts will be able to recreate a map of the villa and model its approximate appearance. The pursuit of treasure is full of adventure and danger. However, most such stories are simply the plots of adventure films. But in real life, there was one such case that can be called a true saga of adventurers. This is the story of Forrest Fenn's treasure. This tale begins in the late 1990s, when former art dealer and Vietnam War veteran Forrest Fenn decided to create a real quest for treasure hunters. He hid a chest filled with jewels in the Rocky Mountains of Yellowstone National Park. This cache contained many treasures, gold coins, and jade masks. The total value of Forrest Fenn's treasure is estimated at several million US dollars. The cunning man spoke about his treasure in newspapers, but of course never revealed its exact location. Instead, he advised people to follow updates from him. For a long time, nothing was heard from Fenn, and many interested seekers forgot about the treasure. But in 2010, the veteran published a poem in his autobiography, a 24-line riddle containing 9 clues to the treasure's location. The news instantly became a sensation, and thousands of people set out in search of the treasure. Unfortunately, in the pursuit of riches, 4 adventurers lost their lives. 3 of them drowned in a mountain river, and 1 fell from a cliff in the mountains. Amazingly, upon learning of these deaths, Fenn showed no sympathy. Instead, he said that if people drown in a pool, they should learn to swim rather than drain the pool. These tragedies did not stop other treasure hunters. They continued to search for the valuable chest, hoping to become rich. Years passed, but no one was able to find Fenn's longed-for treasure. Some seekers even accused him of deceit and stopped believing in the quest, thinking it was just a hoax. However, in 2020, one man who chose to remain anonymous managed to solve all the clues given in the poem and became the lucky finder of a treasure chest weighing about 45 kilograms. As proof of his success, he sent photos of the treasure to Fenn. This story proved to the world that amazing treasure hunts exist not only in adventure films, but also in real life. Sometimes people discover valuable finds thanks only to the forces of nature. That's exactly what happened in 2022 on Crescent Beach in Florida. That year, a powerful storm hit the state's coastline. As a result, a large amount of sand was washed away from the beach. When the weather calmed, a local resident named Mark O'Donoghue decided to take a walk along the coast with his wife in search of seashells. But in addition to those, the couple discovered strange metal and wooden fragments protruding from the sand. Mark decided to examine the find more closely and realized it wasn't just debris, it was the remains of a ship. The couple reported their find to a local museum. The next day, archaeologists arrived at the site. They decided to conduct surface excavations without fully digging out the ship. However, this was enough to determine that the vessel was a cargo ship built in the early 19th century. Based on the cuts of the wood used to build the ship, experts suggested it may have belonged to either Americans, Canadians, or the British. The discovered ship is about 30 meters long. Archaeologists found traces of fire on the wooden wreckage, which most likely caused the shipwreck. It is assumed that valuable cargo may be aboard the ship, but it was decided not to conduct full-scale excavations and to leave the ship buried under the sand. It's quite possible that archaeologists will return to this find in a few years and recover the ship. The Muyunkum Desert is located in southern Kazakhstan. It covers an area of about 40,000 square kilometers, stretching between the lower reaches of the Chu River in the north and the Karatau and Kyrgyz ranges in the south. This desert is known for the diversity of its landscapes. Within its territory, one can find both dried-up desert lands and impressively large sand dunes. Another notable feature of the Muyunkum Desert is the cemetery of abandoned ships, which serves as a reminder of the ecological disaster of the Aral Sea. It's hard to believe, but not too long ago, there was a vast and deep lake in place of the desert, known as the Aral Sea. This lake was once the fourth largest in the world, but it has now almost completely dried up. In the 1960s, this area hosted a thriving port full of activity. Ships carrying salt and fish were unloaded, port services were operational, and locals were engaged in fishing. Now, in its place stands a true ship yard. The rusted hulls of vessels that once sailed across the sea now rise up in the middle of the desert, serving as unusual monuments that remind us of the Aral Sea. The largest number of abandoned ships is found near the village of Jalanash. These once proud vessels have become witnesses to the tragic fate of one of the world's largest lakes. Today, they create a unique and somewhat post-apocalyptic landscape that thousands of tourists come to admire. Unfortunately, nature takes its toll not only on the lake, but also on the abandoned ships. Sand and wind gradually destroy the vessels, and soon only rusted fragments will remain. Sometimes people buy property without suspecting the presence of hidden secret rooms and underground tunnels. But as practice shows, this really happens, and not as rarely as it might seem. Now I invite you to learn about just a few such stories. In 2021, Freddie Goodall decided to renovate his family home, which was built in the Middle Ages. While reviewing old photos, he noticed there was a mysterious door in the library, which had been added to the main building in the 19th century. Freddie became curious and wanted to find the door and see where it led. To his surprise, the young man discovered that behind this mysterious passage was an entire network of underground corridors and rooms. Freddie even recorded several videos and posted them online to share the secret of his home, which he hadn't even known about. Freddie doesn't know exactly what the underground structures were used for, but he assumes they were meant for servants to move around the house. In 2021, the Machins family from the state of Illinois bought an old house where the couple also decided to do some renovations. While laying a walkway, the head of the family discovered an underground tunnel with brick walls beneath their house. It is over 18 meters long and 270 centimeters high. The Machins assumed that this underground space might have been used as a storage facility, and this tunnel was discovered in 2020, also by a family that decided to renovate their old home. Experts determined that the underground corridor was built in 1825 and served as a kind of garage for horses. Later, a house was built on top of it. These are just a few examples of how people find hidden underground structures on their property, structures they never even knew existed. The Lycurgus cup is a unique artifact primarily because it is the only surviving example of a diatritum from ancient times. It gets its name from the image decorating it. The cup depicts a scene in which a follower of Dionysus, turned into a grapevine, restrains King Lycurgus, who tried to kill her. For the Romans, diatritum glass cups were valuable and expensive items due to the special manufacturing technique involved. Creating such cups required a high level of skill. They were made from double-layered glass, shaped into a bell-like form. The exterior was adorned with open-work carvings. Diatrita were used for drinking various beverages, including wine. The Lycurgus cup was also recognized as a unique artifact for another reason. It possesses the astonishing ability to change color. Depending on the lighting, the cup can appear jade green or blood red. Surely, that is a fantastic feature that even modern craftsmen struggle to replicate. But how did a master living in the 4th century AD manage to create such an incredible work of art? Scientists spent many years trying to answer this question, and when the secret was finally uncovered, they were shocked. I think you too will be very surprised to learn that the color-changing secret of the cup lies in the earliest use of nanotechnology. The master who created the Lycurgus cup made it from dichroic two-tone glass. But in addition to that, he added nanoparticles of silver and gold to the glass, particles thousands of times smaller than a grain of salt. It is thanks to this technology that the cup can change its color. I think you now understand why this artifact is considered truly unique. Unfortunately, the name of the ancient craftsman who created this masterpiece remains unknown to this day. In 2020, Nick Drummond and Patricia Backer, a married couple from New York State, purchased an old house in the city of Ames. According to rumors, it was once inhabited by Adolf Humpfner, a German bootlegger from the Prohibition era. The couple admitted that until the very end, they believed that the local stories about the bootlegger were nothing more than a myth. However, their discovery proved otherwise. Since the house was built more than a century ago, Nick and Patricia decided to renovate it. During the restoration of the floors in the living room, Nick moved the baseboard and found a hole beneath it. When he reached into the hole, he felt something resembling a bottle. Pulling it out, Nick saw that it was indeed a bottle of whiskey produced in the early 20th century. This unusual discovery made Nick start to wonder whether the stories about the bootlegger could be true, and what he discovered later made him stop doubting it altogether. As the new homeowner continued removing baseboards, he found 5 more bottles of whiskey. During renovations in the other rooms, the couple found another 60 bottles, which had been securely hidden in the walls. In total, Nick and Patricia discovered 66 bottles of aged alcohol. After that, the couple started looking for information about Adolf Humpfner. There wasn't much. They managed to learn only that Humpfner had come to America from Germany and called himself a count. He was a very wealthy man and bought more than 24 buildings in New York, and during the Prohibition era, he was involved in the illegal production of whiskey. Unfortunately, no other information about the bootlegger could be found, probably because he never told the neighbors anything about himself and avoided communicating with them. The island of Bali, located in Indonesia, can be called a true paradise on Earth. Picturesque landscapes of white sand beaches and bright blue ocean attract many tourists from all over the world every year. On this island, there is also one unusual and even unique attraction: an abandoned passenger Boeing 737. It's hard to call this airliner an ordinary decommissioned aircraft, as both tourists and even local residents debate its history. Since 2007, the Boeing has been in a small limestone quarry, just 50 meters from Raya Nusa Dua Selatan Road on the Bukit Peninsula. It is worth noting that this place offers stunning views of one of the most beautiful beaches in Bali, Pandawa. Today, no one can answer exactly how the plane ended up in this area. Most likely, the reason is that since the appearance of the airliner, locals and tourists began to come up with their own explanations for it. As a result, so many stories appeared that it is now difficult to determine which one is true. According to the most popular version explaining the appearance of the airplane on the island, the Boeing was bought in Surabaya by an Australian entrepreneur who dreamed of turning the plane into a restaurant. Most likely, these stories are close to the truth, because equipment for a future restaurant is still stored near the airliner. Interestingly, the Boeing 737 is not the only abandoned airplane on Bali. 7.5 kilometers to the north, right near the bypass Ngurah Rai Road, and next to a Dunkin' Donuts store, you can find another aircraft. People often find various objects. Some of them turn out to be ancient artifacts or amazing natural wonders, while others only appear interesting at first glance, but have no real value. Among such finds, there are also objects whose nature cannot be explained even by scientists. One such discovery was made in the Arizona desert. In 2013, the Vargas family Chelsea went on a short trip through a desert region in the state of Arizona. There, they noticed a picturesque area with cacti and decided to take some photos at that spot. As the couple got closer, they saw a strange puddle on the ground consisting of unknown purple spheres. The couple decided to take a closer look at their discovery. The spheres had a fascinating structure resembling gel, and inside each one was a liquid. The couple touched the balls, which turned out to be sticky to the touch, and even popped a few of them. They had no idea what they were, so they took several photos of their mysterious pizit. After returning home, they sent the photos to a biologist friend. He suggested that the couple might have found a new type of fungus, but he was concerned by the fact that the discovery was made in a scorching desert. Therefore, his theory couldn't be accurate. News of the find reached television. Reporters from an American TV channel even traveled to the spot in the Arizona desert and filmed a segment about the mysterious purple spheres. The story was indeed fascinating, but many people who watched the news report suggested that the couple had simply found water beads. Unfortunately, the nature of the purple spheres in the Arizona desert remains a mystery. The Yucatan Peninsula is closely connected with the Maya civilization. That's probably why it is called one of the most mysterious places on our planet. However, apart from the structures and artifacts of the Maya, this peninsula is also home to unique natural wonders that are hard to believe exist. One of them is located 20 kilometers from the Mexican city of Tulum, and that is the underwater river Angelita. It really does sound strange. How can a body of water exist underwater? But Angelita proves that nature is capable of such miracles. Still, let's figure out how this river formed underwater. Angelita is located inside a cenote, a natural sinkhole that formed as a result of the collapse of a layer of rock and filled with groundwater and rainwater. Inside, the cave is filled with both fresh and salt water, which have different densities. For this reason, the fresh water rises to the surface of the cenote, while the salt water sinks to the bottom. The boundary between these two layers includes a thin layer of hydrogen sulfide. It is this layer that creates a fantastic contrast between the fresh water above and the salty underwater river. In the time of the Maya civilization, this cenote was considered a sacred place, as the people believed that such caves were portals to the afterlife. Today, Angelita is a popular, although challenging, destination for divers. Its remote location and the underground nature of the dive to a depth of about 60 meters require good preparation. Nonetheless, those who dare to make the dive get to witness a truly unique and natural phenomenon, an underwater river in the heart of an ancient cave. In the Karakum Desert, near the settlement of Darvaza in Turkmenistan, there is a unique site nicknamed the Gates to Hell. This enormous crater, from which flames constantly erupt, truly looks like a portal to the underworld. The Gates of Hell are a giant hole in the ground. The size of this crater is impressive. Its diameter is 70 meters and its depth is over 25 meters. Life is hard to find near the crater, as animals avoid the area and the nearest settlement was evacuated. However, the Gates of Hell are often visited by tourists who travel to the Karakum Desert specifically to witness this wonder with their own eyes. The story of the fiery crater began in 1971 when Soviet geologists discovered an underground gas pocket at this location. It was decided to explore the area. A camp was set up and a drilling rig was brought in. During drilling, the geologists encountered an unexpected problem. There was a massive void underground. The ground suddenly collapsed, swallowing the rig, vehicles, and other equipment. Fortunately, no people were in the danger zone at that moment. In an instant, a giant crater formed where gas extraction had been planned. But that was not the most frightening part of the story. The geologists noticed that a dangerous gas was escaping from the hole, harmful to both humans and animals. They assumed the gas reserves were small and decided to burn it off. They believed the fire would last only a few days. This assumption, like the entire course of action, turned out to be wrong. More than 50 years have passed since then, and the gas continues to burn to this day. Most tourists come to this place just to see the Gates of Hell and take some spectacular photos, but among them are real thrill seekers. For example, in 2013, Canadian explorer George Karunis descended into the fiery crater. He was assisted by a special suit and Kevlar ropes. Despite the equipment, the idea was extremely dangerous. Fortunately, Karunis' descent was successful and without incident. Snakes occupy a special place in the cultures of different peoples, but in India, they are treated with particular reverence. In this country, snakes symbolize wisdom, eternity, and a connection with ancestors. The people of India believe that the entire universe rests on the countless heads of the cosmic serpent Shesha, and that the great Buddha was saved from demons by a giant shard that protected him with its body. That is why locals hang images of snakes on their front doors. India is home to a large number of snakes, and it is not uncommon for them to slither into houses. When this happens, people do not kill them. Instead, they carefully catch the animal and release it far from the settlement. However, sometimes people hunt snakes in their homes themselves, of course, for illegal sale. Such a situation occurred in the Indian city of Pune, Maharashtra state. In 2016, police officers in Pune received information that a local resident named Rajit Haraj was keeping a large number of snakes in his house. When the police entered the suspect's home, they were shocked by what they saw. It turned out that Haraj was keeping 41 Russell's vipers and 31 cobras within the walls of his home. In total, the man kept 72 dangerous snakes, despite living in the house with his wife and small children. At first, Haraj tried to convince the police that he kept the snakes as pets. However, no one believed him, and understandably so. Why would anyone need so many dangerous reptiles? The first version explaining the illegal keeping of such a large number of snakes was that he intended to sell them, but during further investigation, it was discovered that Haraj and his wife were extracting venom and selling it. Vials containing cobra and viper venom were found in his house. The family was arrested and held accountable for their actions, and the rescued snakes were handed over to forestry officials who later released them into the wild. In 2024, a group of researchers discovered a strange find on one of the uninhabited islands of Indonesia, a giant structure resembling a cave with a large round entrance. The scientists took several rock samples for further study and entered the cave. What they found inside shocked them. Inside the cave was a real necropolis with hundreds of human remains. All the skeletons were in unnatural positions, which led the scientists to believe that all these people were part of some kind of ritual. The cave walls were covered in strange symbols and drawings made with red ochre. Some of the images resembled astronomical maps, while others depicted scenes of hunting and ritual dances. It became clear that this cenote had served ancient people as a sanctuary or a site for ritual burials. From the main hall of the structure, a tunnel leads to a neighboring chamber. The researchers noted that the walls of this corridor were so smooth that they seemed to have been processed using modern tools. This discovery forced scientists to change their opinion about the uninhabited island, as such a structure proves that an ancient and unknown advanced civilization once lived there. And that's all from me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon. Your engagement is the best reward for me. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.